up, fellow pioneers of human transportation? I'm Yogi Steve, and this is the Electric Scooter Academy. The first question I'm usually asked by a person that doesn't have a scooter is, what type of scooter should I buy? The second type of question I get, which is from a person who already owns a scooter, is, what the hell is going on with my battery? I'm going to tell you everything I know about electric scooter batteries. Now, I'm not a very mechanical or technically inclined person, but I feel like I'm very good at understanding operations. So I don't really have the details on the cells, the voltage, all that stuff. This is going to be more about what to really expect with your battery, common problems, common thoughts. So here we go. So the first thing about your battery that you have to know is these batteries lose their performance as they get weaker. The higher end batteries can get to as low as, let's say, 40 or 50%, and you won't notice much of a performance difference. But most batteries at 50% or lower start going slower, will start accelerating slower, will have less torque, will have less acceleration. So you have to know that as these batteries get lower on energy, their performance decreases. So you might get 20 miles out of the first 50% of your battery, but out of the second 50% of your battery, you might only get 10 miles. How do you know when your battery is running out of juice? So I would definitely ignore the percentage readout on your throttle controller. I would even ignore the bars on your throttle controller. You should 100% of the time look at the voltage. So you need to know your minimum and maximum voltage. You can ask your dealer, the person who sold you the scooter, what that exactly is, or you can figure it out yourself. Just charge your scooter up all the way, look at your maximum voltage. I know on my scooters, on my Dualtrons, it's about 66.9 volts at the max and 50 volts at shutdown. I know that because my dealer told me, but I've also ran the scooter down to 50 volts, and yeah, it starts to shut down. Voltage is a much more accurate measure of how much more energy, how much more juice your battery has. It's also a little bit different for different types of scooters. Single motor scooters don't always have the voltage readout. What if your scooter doesn't have a voltage readout? You only have the percentage and the bars. So what I did on my outlier scooters, which did not have a voltage readout, I would just ride the scooter regularly and every once in a while really max it out. Start with the full battery, run it down to 0 and see how many miles I get. Once you do that a couple of times, assuming you're going on similar routes every time, you know how much juice you'll have in your battery. So I know on my outlier scooters I could get 35 miles max in this neighborhood. So once I get to 30 miles or so, I know I would need to start thinking about heading home, thinking about ending the day. On dual motor scooters, as the battery gets lower, you have to be very careful because you do not want to run a high-powered scooter with a low battery. Almost all of the bigger batteries, as you reach the bottom end of the battery, as you start running out of charge, you cannot fully open up the battery. You cannot fully blast on the scooter when the battery is low. As your battery gets low, there's something in the battery management system or the controller that's helping you to avoid a meltdown. So the bigger batteries, many batteries, as you get to the lower end of the battery charge, you can't run it on your highest gear at open throttle because you risk the scooter shutting down. I had a lot of these problems early on with my scooters where it would look like I have 20 or 30 or even 40% left, but then I would open up the scooter full top gear, full throttle, and the scooter would just shut down. Now, it didn't break. This was sort of a safety mechanism, I'm guessing from the battery management system, that before the battery overheats, it shuts it down. So I know a lot of guys really thought their scooter was in trouble. Then they found out that you just can't max out your battery in the bottom end of the range. Another common question is whether or not you should charge the battery fully up to 100%. A lot of people believe that you're only supposed to charge your scooter up to 80, 85% to somehow protect the battery. That's not really true. I believe that information only applies to long-term storage. So if you're not going to use your scooter for a couple days, weeks, months, whatever, then charge it to 80% and put it away. But if you're using your scooter every single day like I do, there's no reason not to charge it up to 100% knowing that you're going to use it the next day. Now, what about at the bottom end of the spectrum as your scooter gets low on battery? It's important that you understand with these types of batteries that as you run out of energy in the lower end of the charge, you're going to lose performance. You're not going to get the same top speed. You're not going to get the same torque and acceleration. So on really cheap batteries, once you lose your first 10 or 20%, you might lose up to 30 or 40% of your performance. On the better batteries, you can go down to 50, 40% and still have 90, 95% of your torque, acceleration, top speed. But just understand, as your battery gets lower on juice, its performance will slowly go down. Higher end batteries, higher end scooters, this happens less, but it even happens on the most high end scooter. As you run that battery out, at the bottom end, its performance decreases.
I don't want any American, anywhere, to ever forget that strength lies in our principle to be free.